Hello, everyone, and welcome to Unscripted. This show is sponsored by Paxton, commonly referred to as PAX, a meme coin project on the Solana blockchain, positioned as a community-driven token inspired by the popular Pudgy Penguins NFT ecosystem. Go check them out. I will be posting the CA in the comments. And remember, always do your own research. This is not financial advice. Now, let's get into it. Tonight's story doesn't begin with wins, recognition, or highlight reel. It begins with responsibility, the kind that comes from choosing to show up even when the path isn't clear. Before there was an audience or a name, people recognized there was someone learning how to navigate pressure, risk, and uncertainty in real time, making decisions that mattered, carrying the weight of outcomes, both good and bad, building in a space that moves fast, judges quickly, and rarely pauses to consider the human behind the work. Along the way, life didn't slow down. He was building while also being a husband and a father, balancing ambition with family, growth with protection, and public visibility with private responsibility. There were moments that tested character, relationships, and resolve, moments that required reflection, accountability, and the courage to choose what truly mattered. This journey wasn't about chasing attention or getting everything right. It was about learning, adapting, and staying disciplined when walking away would have been easier, about rebuilding with intention, holding on to values, and continuing forward with clarity and heart. That story belongs to Justin, known to many here and around this crypto space as Jchains. Welcome, my friend. How are
Hey, what's going on?
you?
I'm good, Leslie. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Thanks for having me. I am super excited. I've been watching your series Unscripted here, and I was like, when you asked me, I was like, yes, I'm super excited to do this.
You
Thank you.
know, I've
Thanks for having me.
been no, thank you. I know that you are very busy. I've known you for a while now, for a few years, and I know that your journey has evolved in the space. And I've been wanting to ask you since last year, but I know with fights coming up, training, it gets hectic. You building and expanding your brand in the
Mhm.
space is gotten a little crazy. So I appreciate you coming on today, and I am very thankful and excited for people to get to know your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Looking forward to it. This is it's always fun when someone asks me questions. It's very rare that I get interviewed. So I'm really looking forward to this. It's always I always get a kick out of it. It's a fun thing for me. And so I think it's gonna be a good time. I'm sure that there's gonna be an awesome chat. I got the X chat up over here. I got one up over here. So we are locked and loaded, ready to go.
We are okay, awesome. Lock loaded, getting ready, and let's roll. Justin, I'm not gonna call you Justin. I'm gonna call you Jchains because that's
All right.
how I know you. And that Jchains, chains on chains.
Chains on
Okay,
chains.
chains on chains. Okay,
Yeah.
Jay, let's get started.
All right.
Uh, because when we look back, years back, and when we were both getting started, we were very small fish in the pond. So when you look back at the early chapters of your journey in this space, what do you
Mhm.
think people misunderstand most about the road that has brought you to where you currently are?
Hmm. That's really interesting. You know, man, it's really okay. So I guess we can kind of discover this together, right? So
Yeah.
early on, so when I first started crypto, I had kind of, and this is why what I talk about in my show is that we're rewriting investing, right? We're by nature, we're falling in love with our investments, which is always a faux pas, right? But the
Mhm.
whole idea of my start was, I was just a small time investor, and it was a crypto exchange it didn't make it past the probably the 2019 dump before like after we had the nice big pump that we all got some nice gains in. But the whole idea is when I started with that exchange, it was really just, man, where was I was thinking too far ahead.
Mhm.
What was the
Let's
question?
You know what? Let's go back to basics. Because what I want people to see is like the story. Right now they're seeing who you're becoming, you're building a brand. You now have a media company.
Hmm.
You're a fighter now. But the J chains that I know back before you were any of that, it's like we were getting started. I don't want to say we were nobody in this space, but we were constantly and continuously in spaces, trying to make
It,
our names
it
known.
it was the grind, right? Like, and I think that's like something we've all talked about for many years. And it's like when someone asks you, like, how do you do this? Like, it's the consistency thing, right? And
Yeah.
there's, you get times where you get burnt out and you take some breaks and you come back and you go stronger, and then you get burnt out and you take some breaks and all that. But I think, the whole idea of when we first got started, like, man, you think like how many hours a day were you in a space? Like probably more than not,
Yeah.
if I'm being serious. It was part of
Yes.
the grind though. It's how you got noticed, and like, and even like, things were different, right? But back in that time, when before blue check marks and all that, you could freely change your PFP and there was no time delay for getting your blue check mark back. If none of us had them at this point. And so that was all part of the whole, ride or die with our community. We're going to change our PFP. So it was crazy. But you change your PFP, go into a show for an hour and a half, maybe even longer, then switch your PFP, go into another show. Like, it was wild times back then.
Oh my gosh, yes, it was. Now, when you were building, did you come into the crypto space or the NFT space? Because remember back then
Crypto.
too, like when we started, there was a division. You
Yeah.
had the crypto space and then you had the NFT. I came here for crypto and I actually ended up starting in the NFT, and we called it the NFT, and the Web3 space went hand in hand. And it was like crypto was its own separate space entity
Mhm.
on the other side of X. And then all of a sudden now it's like we're all meshed into one. So you started in
Totally.
the crypto.
Right. Yeah. So it was straight crypto for me. In 2017, it was not. Yeah, I look at it's funny, like in my charting and all that stuff, and I pay attention to the Bitcoin dominance because back then, there was not as many coins, and so that made it probably made a little bit more sense then than it does now. But like it's just a whole nother ball game now that crypto is.
Yeah. Now, at what point did you start like meshing into the space that you are in with, all of the NFT crew, all
Oh,
of like the crew that we're around now?
yeah, so I mean, definitely in 2021 during the NFT craze, right? So 2017 is when I got into crypto. So definitely was several years, and I think when I talked earlier about how we're changing kind of the investment thesis and marrying our bags, that I would give credit to the NFT bros. Like when the NFT bros came in, the game totally changed. We didn't have a whole lot of meme coins. There were a few, but it was very few and far between. Not like what we have now. And so the NFT bros really showed us what was up, and I think with all of and I think it was I like to credit the NFT bros with the meme coin craze because it was again that whole idea of all right, let's just make a coin instead of an NFT, let's just spin up a coin.
Mhm.
And they,
How much of, when you're looking back, how much of you, who you are today, was shaped by the pressure rather than choice? Because, back then there was a lot of freaking pressure, especially, how
it's
long
right. It's really it's really interesting, right? Like it was kind of, and I think this is where I kind of got sidetracked thinking before was okay. So early on, like for me, like I got involved in an exchange, and so it was this opportunity that turned into doing the YouTube channel. That then all of a sudden I was going to the conferences, and that's where I met Ben and some other of the YouTube people early on. And so like early on for me, like it was we were playing at a different level than most people were. So I didn't
Mhm.
really have that rough start like most people did. It was kind of like we just like we were there and we ran heavy for several years.
Yeah. Jay, was there like a moment in the time where you were growing and evolving in this space that you realized you had to choose between who you were becoming and what people expected you to be? Especially because we are, living publicly.
Yeah, it's funny. Like that's always something that's bothered me, right? Like
Mhm.
I know that we're in the attention economy. I also, know that I've got, a mom. I'm a mama's boy. I've got I'm a mom that I love and that loves me, and I've got a lot of sisters, and I got a family that kind of pays attention to what I'm doing, and I've got a wife and I've got a daughter, and the whole idea of keeping it above the board, not being too crazy, not keeping it like some you go onto some platforms you're like holy smokes, and that's it's a personal preference, but yeah, like the pressure of keeping it. And it was funny, like I've had conversations with my mom about this too, where it's just like, mom, do you think Howard Stern was worried about his mother like when he was filming his show? And like, not that I'm Howard Stern
Oh
in
my
any way, but it's just like,
god.
it's just you think about when you're I think when you have a certain moral compass, you think
Mhm.
about a lot of different outcomes and maybe some things that some people don't, I guess.
Yeah, no, freaking absolutely. Sometimes you just wanna go off the handle and say what you wanna say and just be who you wanna be, and a lot of the times, do you do this? It's like, you have a wife, you have a daughter, your mom, and then a lot of the times you're thinking about like, "Shit, should I say that? Should I say, talk the way that I wanna talk?" And sometimes you kinda hold back because of the people that are going to be looking up to you, or like one day your daughter's going to grow and look back and be like, dad was saying that, dad
D-
was talking like that. Do you
Dad,
ever think about moments like that?
I do. I think, and that's a blessing, right? And not that I would be like out of control anyway, because I've never really been,
Yeah.
even before social media, because thankfully I got a chance to grow up before everything was documented on social media. But I do like everything that I do, I'm cognizant of I think my daughter and my wife, and, obviously a strong female presence in my family. I've got three sisters and my mom, and, and I got a brother, but, as far as like all the ladies in my life, like, I want to represent everybody well, and I don't want anybody to think that I'm like an asshole just because, like just for the clicks. Like I would, and this is why I think even in my content and where I'm going with it is like the next evolution of where crypto is. Like we're going to the mainstream. It's time to play ball. It's time to go to like the next level. Like and stop speculating. Let's
Yeah.
start. where's the utility? Where can people find opportunities within this ecosystem to change their life and not just like hit a 10 or 100x, like of like if you could get in early on a brand new like vertical of an ecosystem that is like, I don't know, we'll say use AI as an example, or like AI agents or whatever. If you can find that one that ends up taking off, like it could change your life. It'd be like the people who had gotten Home Depot stock back in the 80s, right? And then all of a sudden, like that shit changed their life because they had the right opportunity. And I use Home Depot as an example because that's here in my hometown in Atlanta. But that's the opportunity, is just really like find that utility and build from there. And speculation, I get it. We're all like, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? We're spoiled. Like in crypto, we're spoiled. Like we've hit those 100x's. Like some of us have maybe hit 1,000x before. Like, it feels good. And
Mhm.
when you see like a lot of losses in a row, and then like, oh, okay, I'm down 70%, but hey, we went up 5% today. Great. That's what it's demoralizing a little bit, is where we're, maybe we're at currently. But yeah.
How do you deal with that sentiment, that emotion of, like you said, we've hit 100 X's, 1,000. We've gone into, one meme coin early. We've made money on it. Sometimes we've round trip, but there are moments in this space where you continuously feel like you're in your head. You can't get out of it. And it's like loss after loss after loss. And it's like that X is not coming the way that you want to. How do you
Mhm.
deal with that emotion or the mental aspect of it all?
Well, I've got a tattoo on my arm that reminds me, always half full, right? So I'm like a truly blessed, and it's on me for a reason, is because I'm an eternal optimist. Like I always will find the silver lining of it. And so, even if it's a lot of losses, you'll attribute it to something, whether it's your patience, whether it's, okay, you know what, this is what I've been doing, but the last several, I kind of did this wrong. I did this differently. So it's a learning, it's a teaching moment, it's a coaching moment for you. So whatever it may be, right? Like there's always valuable lessons that you can learn in anything. And so I just remain positive, because like if you end up getting to the opposite side of positivity, like you find yourself in a place you don't want to be most of the time. That's how I see it.
Yes, and then you have a wonderful support system, right? So if you're
100%.
going through this, sometimes, we were talking about this earlier, right? That sometimes, especially like when you're trading and you're scalping, scalping is what, 10 seconds, 30 seconds, it's in and out, in and out. And if you are distracted, boom, you get liquidated. That happened to me this morning, right? I went into a play, got distracted, and within seconds I was liquidated. But part of it is my problem because I went super high leverage
Right.
and I should have been babysitting that. But you having a wife, a daughter at home, are there times where it's like you have to be like, okay, you know what? I am going to go do this for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes. I do not bother me. And then are they receptive? Like, I know your wife, I've met her, she's amazing. I know you bring her around for her to understand this space, which I think it's wonderful.
Heck yeah.
And but how does she cope and deal with it? How do you guys navigate this together?
It's we have a great like kind of work home relationship between, because everybody's working at home and doing their stuff. They understand. It was funny, my wife was it's funny that you brought this up. Yesterday morning, in fact, like right as the markets were opening up, my wife was on a work call, and so I was downstairs in the living room with my daughter, and we had her, she was watching something, Stinky and Dirty or something, on whatever her show was that she loves watching right now. And then she like just started like talking to me, and so we were just engaging in conversation, and then a few minutes went by, and I looked back at my computer, and I totally missed the trade that I literally had been setting up for like an hour and a half just waiting for. And I was like, Daddy needs a minute, I gotta go to my office for a second. I was like, no, I missed that one.
Mhm.
Like I literally was waiting for it. So it happens, but whatever. There's always another. That's a good thing about being a trader, is there's always another one. It's part of the game. But
Yeah,
I
and what
was
people
I was like, I was feeling cooked. I was like, oh, because I knew it was gonna happen.
and sometimes you want that instant gratification, right? Especially if you've been watching it, like people don't understand. It's like you have to fall in love with what you're doing because sometimes you're sitting there watching the chart for hours
Hours.
before you're like, okay, in and out. And sometimes you watch it for hours for a few seconds and people don't understand that.
And when
But
you're on the 1 minute, and listen, I was on the 1 minute chart for this, because that's where I was like a snake ready to strike. And oh man, I just like all of a sudden I look at my computer, I was like, oh shit, I missed it. Yeah.
Yep. And that's how I trade too on the 1 minute. And it's like, you got to be on top of it, Jay, because if you're not, you get
You cooked.
suckered in. So, how did the hardest moments you faced or have faced in this space or outside of the space reshape the way that you define success today?
I think discipline, right? In a lot of different ways, whether it's through trading, whether it was through prep for the fights, and I think maybe even through building community and all that stuff. It's really, oh, man, when I think about it, and that's why probably I tell everybody, look, getting prepared for a fight in a ring in front of thousands or million, whatever people, like that's not for everybody. But what is challenging yourself, right? Like take
Yeah.
yourself outside of your comfort zone, do something that's going to make you a little bit more uncomfortable. And I think that's more of in line of like everything. That's what everybody
Now,
should be doing at least once. I just like beg, like, just try. Everybody should try that at least one time in your life. Like, it doesn't matter what you do, and like, it literally could be anything. Like, it doesn't have to be physical, like getting into a fight. It could be something. Just challenge yourself. Something that's uncomfortable. Not like doesn't need to be physical.
absolutely.
It could be
So let's
mentally
talk
uncomfortable.
about the fights because, you recently, what was it, about a year and a half ago that you started training and then you started fighting. What inspired you to go down that route?
So it's really funny when I think about it. I was at a conference where Karate Combat did a kind of like their inaugural "This is what we're doing in crypto," and I got a chance to go up on stage and do a demo with one of the champions, right? And so I did this little demo, and I was like, "Oh, that was actually kind of cool." I grew up a team sport athlete. I was in football and baseball. Like I was always on a team. I didn't did anything individually. I never did wrestling. I never did anything like that. And I was like, oh, that was kind of, that was fun. I would try that. And then I went to a couple of the other events. And obviously, in the first IFC, we all went out to Mexico City. A lot of our friends fought in that. So that was fun. And then there was one other fight. I fought in the third one. I just caught the bug when all of our friends started doing it. I was like, well, shit, like, I'll take this opportunity. One is good money. Two, I mean, I've flown literally to 7 countries, different countries throughout the world, just
Mhm.
because of fighting. Whether it's to go corner fighters or whether to fight myself. Like, it's just the opportunity. So like saying yes to that opportunity is the absolute like catalyst to all of it. It was an opportunity.
So going through all of that, how many fights have you already had? You've already had a handful, right?
So 3 total, 1 karate combat and then 2 CFNs.
What have training and then fighting and then the outcomes taught you about yourself, and why do you keep pushing forward?
Because I really enjoy the opportunity and the challenge.
Mhm.
I've not, I truly, injured myself. And at 43, so at 42, right before I turned 42 is when I signed my first fight contract. But at 43 now, getting ready to turn 44 in April and then fight in May. Um, Look, my body says that I can do it. My heart says that I can do it. My brain says that I can do it. And so I'm excited. It's just fun. And like the opportunity to go in there and challenge yourself. That's what it is. Like win, lose, or draw. And whoever I fight, it doesn't matter. It's more of, you know, did I discipline myself enough to get through fight camp? Did I make weight? And did I, at least put on a fight? Like it doesn't matter if I get win. Like I haven't yet, and I have a decent attitude about it. Like obviously I want to win, and at
Yeah.
some point I will. Like I'm very hopeful that this next one is throw it in the dub column. But at the end of the day, like I get the opportunity to challenge myself on a platform and a scale that not too many people get the opportunity to do it. And whether I'm crazy enough to say yes, or just because I know, the opportunity that it brings, and I enjoy actually getting in there and fighting people. Um, yeah,
That is so freaking awesome. Okay, so far you said you haven't had a win.
nope.
It's like every time that you train, you go in there, you're inspired, and then it's not the outcome that you want. for younger people that are aspiring, and and you're not quitting, you're still continuing, and you're like fight after fight no matter
Mhm.
what advice or what motivation would you give them to not quit and continue to try
I
despite?
just Yeah, just keep going. I mean, like I've had some people tell me because I'll talk about this on my show in the morning, and I've had people younger than me say like, "Dude, you've motivated me to get up off the couch and get healthy," and they've lost some weight and stuff. So like at the end of the day, I feel like if I can change one person's life, great. Like it's worth
That's
every bit of effort for me. Is that if one person has changed their life, and I know multiple people have reached out and said, "Man, I have not been motivated like this in my entire life. Like, let's get it." Like even older guys that are my same age. And so it's been a fun thing to do. And again, as long as my body is capable, I'll keep getting in there. Even I'll be like Brian Rose, like in my 50s. He hasn't won either. He's 0-3. So maybe I should fight him. The London Real guy.
Oh my goodness. Okay, let's get that set up. When is your next fight? Is that one in May in Miami?
Yeah, so it should be during consensus. Like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it would be the 8th because consensus is the 5th through the 7th. The 7th is Thursday. Friday would be the 8th. That would make sense that it's that Friday night. I believe there's also some karate combat happening around the same time. So it might be a lot of fun, a lot of fights going on that night. So,
But you're not, are you fighting with karate combat, or you're fighting with the one that Keith is fighting as well?
CFN. Yep, CFN. Now, I have the whole IFC has been, I think, broken up. George from Cryptos R Us decided that he didn't want to do that. I think Karate Combat kind of wanted to take some of that stuff in house anyway.
Yeah.
But so there's no IFC, but I would say potentially, I think the only fight that I would ever take Karate Combat style again would be against BitBoy for sure.
So is that coming up anytime soon,
Probably not.
or
I don't know if I don't know if
he's
that's
gonna
a
do
thing
it?
anymore, but yeah.
Yeah,
But that's
probably
that's
not.
that's that's the only person who I want to fight that much, like that style.
Why? Okay, no comment. You don't want to talk about
It
it?
was like on his journey into La La Land. He said some pretty bad things about me and my family. So yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah,
I
he
know
makes
he said a lot of bad things about like multiple people that were even close to him in this space, but
yeah.
I mean, maybe he's in the wrong headspace, It's like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he was
but
going crazy.
yeah, hell of a drug. Drugs are what? Hell of a drug. How do you say? Oh no. I don't know what he was taking, so I can't say the full statement, but anywho. Okay. So, do you know who you're fighting yet, or do you have put in a recommendation of who you want to fight in May?
So yeah, so Harley Hermanson and I have talked about this. Of Glojita is kind of his name. Some people from the space know who he is. He's fought a few times for both leagues. We've agreed. So my thing is like I would probably. So I'm like I don't know 213 right now, and I would need to get down to 195. So I
Damn.
got a few lbs to lose. That's no problem. But my whole thing is I haven't weighed under 200 pounds since May. I would have to think like it could be junior high. Like I might have came into high school like weighing over 200 pounds. I was always very stocky and muscular. So getting down
Damn.
to 195 is going to be crazy.
That so what do you have to do? Like freaking starve yourself, or
So
I
a
mean,
lot
but
of
men, you know what?
cardio.
Men can lose weight fast. Men are typically
Yeah.
really disciplined and great at losing weight. It's like you can put the woman and the man on the same freaking diet structure, and the guy is like 5 pounds lighter, and the woman still takes like a whole month to
Yeah.
lose
And then I
5 pounds.
do like I do crazy things. Like I'm able to do like 72 hour. This last time I did like 80, I think like 84 or 86-hour water fast where I'm just either drinking water or black coffee. And so I was able to do that was the longest one that I've done, but I do like 72-hour water fast at least like once a quarter.
Yeah,
Just try to
very
reset to something.
important.
Yeah, so I have crazy discipline, especially during fight camp. So like I'm kind of trading off like half of the year, right? So I'm going to be in fight camp perpetually for until May. And so after May, like I can kind of go back to having more fun if I want, going back to eating cheeseburgers and doing all that stuff, but trying to just eat it clean, a lot of yogurt. I eat a lot. My wife, okay. This is a tough one for me. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you, Leslie. So I have made a career out of my disdain for milk. I think is absolutely disgusting. Why in the world would anybody on this planet be drinking the species milk that's not, their own species? I think that that's very strange. Um, that being said, I love yogurt. Greek yogurt is my favorite. And my wife makes it in the instant pot, and it's basically just cooked milk that you let sit out for hours at a certain temperature. So it's basically cooked milk, but I love it so much. And it's really strange. I could never drink milk, but I could eat it.
I mean, when you put it like that, I'm like, oh, because I drink milk every now and then, but I prefer coconut, almond, or oat
Oat and
versus.
coffee. If I ever have to have, not that I ever after have to, but if I want to have like a coffee with some kind of milk in it, it's oat milk for sure. It's the best.
Oh, absolutely. But now that we're saying like cooked yogurt, because I do like yogurt, I'm like, now you're making it sound like I don't know if I want to eat it
I still,
anymore.
I,
But
I still eat it.
okay, so fast forward, you know, you have been navigating the space, you have co-hosted, you've done live streams, with people, other people building their brand. I know at one point, we did uh we're going to work together, or we were
Mhm.
looking into, the prospect of working together. And then, things do not pan out the way they need to pan out. And I am a believer that they work out the way they need to. Now, fast forward, you decided to create a media company, W3BC Media, Web3BC Media. What inspired that? And how did you begin that journey?
Yeah. So I love that question. Thank you. So the W3BC Media, the name for it. So my morning show that I've been doing, I'm paused right now, trying to work on some things. But so my morning show that I've been doing for years is the Web3 Breakfast Club. And so that's what the W3BC is. And the media is just, my media, it's my media company. And it was built off kind of like, I think my biggest the issues that I've had the most, right? Like what were like if I go to conferences, and this is my entire concept was this is to
Mhm,
turn, founders moments into momentum, right? So when I go to a conference and I speak on stage or I MC or I'm on a whatever panel or we're doing whatever, like I never capture the right content to be able to build maybe more marketing or be able to go on to sell that to go MC different conferences or whatever.
mhm,
And I think it's just a little bit different for the founders anyway. But so, the whole idea is like, all right, so say you've got a booth there, say you're speaking, you're keynoting, you're firesiding, whatever, go up there, capture that, capture moments where like the founder, maybe is in the environment with the community, like at the booth or just out among all the people. And then have a moment where they're, sit down doing an interview, sit down face to face, and then create that kind of like thematic video for them so that they can use for marketing to tell the story, whatever story is that they want to tell. Again, it's the whole idea of turning their moment into momentum. And so that was, again, going for me, like every time I go to these conferences, like I
mhm.
never came home with the right media or content to be able to go on to sell myself. And that's, I think, the whole idea of the media company was to do that and provide that to founders and teams and projects that are trying to build something. We talked earlier about like actual utility in the space. So that's the
Yeah.
goal. Yeah, that's like the whole plan. And I go to tons of conferences. Like I travel most of the year. I'm not going to I was supposed to be in Hong Kong this week. As it turns out, I'm glad that I'm not here. My brother was having his baby and a lot of other things were just kind of here at the house. And then I think ETH Denver's coming up. I don't know if I'm going to go. I could very easily pull the trigger on that, but probably just going to stick around. Maybe go to spring training for baseball. We'll see.
Oh, that would be fun. Okay, so at what point did you realize that this is what you wanted your journey to be in this space? Because you and I have done so many things in this space, right? And then one day you wake up and you're like,
Mhm.
boom, this is what I want to do. Like me, it's like all of a sudden I completely shifted job roles and I was like, no, this is what I want to do. I want to do a show. I want to showcase people, their story, their journey, and of course go to conferences and sit and interview people and report on that. But you said something, that we all struggle with, where it's like you go to conferences, you don't capture the right moments, you go back home, you look at film. At what point were you looking at everything that you had
Mhm.
and you realize, maybe this is what I want to do, and this is what I need to pivot and shift in order to get the proper content. And I mean,
It,
and that question too, it's like for anybody that's watching and that does want to do media.
I mean, look, I've got like these like selfie sticks, right? This thing will
Yeah.
hold, it'll hold my phone, it'll hold the Rode mics, it'll hold the light, it'll hold all the stuff so I can do all the things. But like when you come down to it, like, wouldn't you prefer to have like a cameraman there so it's not you just standing there with, look, I mean, I keep this sucker locked and loaded all the time, ready to go. Like we're ready to get into business right here. Um it'd be just better to have someone capturing that moment a little bit differently than standing in front of your camera. We all do it. Like obviously
Yeah.
we all do it, but to have that, that moment captured a little differently. That's the whole concept and goal with what I'm trying to build with the W3BC media.
How difficult is it to also capture something different and think outside the box, because everybody does the same thing and we see this at every conference. Everybody has a selfie stick, they're carrying around their own equipment, you're putting it down. And very few people carry or are with
Mhm.
camera person. And right now, it does seem like we are becoming more and more competitive, especially with brands coming in and them selecting who they want to market or promote their brand. Like, how do you try to keep up or think differently when creating content to showcase if you want to get a marketing gig or a sponsor partner?
Yeah, I think just authenticity, just not trying to chase like, one of my sponsors is a casino. And
Yeah.
so like, I have some posts. I mean, I'm not trying to like chase the meta like a lot of people are. Like it's nice to have, some you know, I guess sponsorship, or to have, some teams kind of like help you out and get through. But the whole idea of just being authentic with what you're doing is probably the most important thing that you could say there, for sure.
Yeah, no, freaking absolutely. So how is it being sponsored by a casino?
It's fun. It's fun. Yeah, I enjoy it. BC Game is one of my sponsors, and I really enjoy the people, right? Like when we got a
Yeah.
chance to, so I fought in December. My last fight was in December in Dubai, and so we were out there that whole week, and then the following week was Solana Breakpoint in Abu Dhabi. So we stayed out there, and BC Game threw a whole event, and they threw like a big party at night. And the day before that, they took a lot of the KOLs that they have throughout the world to the Ferrari World Theme Park. And so it was really cool to meet people from the team and then meet people from the I guess like the other influencers throughout the world, from like, over in Asia and everything, like literally throughout the world. Like, and we all went to this theme park, and we rode roller coasters. I rode the fastest roller coaster in the world. It was insanity. Keith and I sat next to each other. We both can handle roller coasters, not really our favorite. We both did it very well. We handled it. We handled that rocket ship, man. That thing was fast. It was like an F1 car.
That is crazy. So you've been around the world traveling. It's awesome to have a sponsor and, get out there and all that stuff.
Mhm.
Now, when you're looking back, and when you are continuing to build in this space, there are going to be moments of uncertainty. So when everything felt uncertain for you, what kept you grounded enough to keep moving forward?
I think always my family, like, so this is I'll share this moment. My daughter is pretty much like what keeps me grounded to everything. And so like I love my wife, like, and it's my family that keeps me grounded. But the day that my daughter was born, we did the C-section, they brought her out, and went to cut the cord. We go over to do the cut the cord thing. And like as I do that, like her hand just like reaches up and grabs my finger. Like, and I shit you not, like this happened. She's been in this world for like 15 seconds, grabs my hand. I was like, well, I definitely started crying. I was like, okay, whatever
Yeah.
you need, right? And so like that moment is like etched into my brain for eternity. And so that is like, that's like a moment in time that keeps me grounded. That changed my life. Like ultimately, it
Mhm.
turned like a 180. Like, not that I was like a bad person or anything. Excuse me. It just like it changed my life. The moment that my daughter came into this world, it was like uh and I'm it's fun that like my brother just had his son a couple days ago, so like we get to like
Yeah.
talk about some of these things where it's like, your first night at home, your first morning at home with your family, you just like laying in bed with your wife and your son. For him, like really cool moments.
That is such a beautiful moment and memory. It's how amazing kids change your life forever and for the
Yep.
better, in my
100%.
opinion. Any more kids?
So we're IVF people. We've got a few more embryos. We'll see how it goes.
That's awesome. Who knows? But I've met your daughter. Oh my gosh. She is like the most beautiful little girl. And
she's
she is
she's
so
so cool.
wise too. It was so fun meeting her and your wife.
Yeah, she's cool. She's been so when she was 2 months old, that was her first trip. We were going down to, I think it was Decentral in Miami, and I
Yeah.
was on a panel and I was doing some speaking stuff. So she came down to Miami. She was up on stage. I got some pictures somewhere of her up on stage with me, like I'm accepting a reward, like one of those belts down there. And I've got her up on stage with me. And so she's been, I think, now to like somewhere between like 16 and 20 crypto conferences,
Oh,
and she's
wow.
4. Yeah.
That is wild. More crypto conferences than many in this space that haven't even
Mhm.
traveled to a lot of those
Yep.
spaces. And it's awesome that you bring them along and, they also love going to
Yeah, it's
the
cool. It's,
events
it's
too.
cool that it's cool that I get the support. Like, we are talking about before, like I have a great support system. I do. My wife and daughter have the ability right now to travel with us. Like, she's gonna be going to school. I just signed her up for pre-K. I don't know if I'm ready for this. It's like 5 days a week. Um,
Oh
I
my
know it
goodness
starts
gracious.
in like August or September, whenever the school year starts. Like my days are numbered, and like she's just gonna be in school for like the rest of her life now. It's terrible.
Yep. That is take out the shotgun, Jchains, because it's not gonna get easier. And then when she
Mm-mm.
comes home with boyfriend,
No, we're not. Hey, we're
why?
not going there yet. We are not going there yet.
You're like, not till she graduates high school. But
No, not even. No, you're locked in the house until you're 30.
lock and loaded. Okay. So in this space, we talk about building business acumen, leadership. How has your definition of leadership evolved in the Web3?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, like a lot of us, I like to say we're building the plane as we fly it, right?
Mhm.
A lot of us were very green to this idea of what we would be doing, where we would be if we've got voices that listen to us and stuff. And so I think being a good leader is is I think it's important to me. Like I enjoy it. Like I have people that kind of rely on what I'm saying, and like to some extent, not like investment decisions or
Yeah.
to like some of the opinions that we have. I think that some people, they they take them maybe for more than face value in some ways and shape or form. And so, ultimately the responsibility. I don't know. What do you think?
About leadership in this space,
Yeah.
you know, I think
Do you think it's
I
like a
think
forgotten art?
I think so too. And then I think too leadership and success at this stage in our lives, because I am 40, right? And
Mhm.
it does change and then you define it differently than your earlier years. And I think when you go into different type of chapters in your life, it changes. Like leadership for me, um I would say in my younger years, I would be it's like somebody that leads, somebody that's understands, somebody that it's open to suggestions and ideas and brings in a unity of people and learns from everybody. Now I'm learning too that leadership,
Mhm.
especially in the space where it's like everybody is struggling to make ends meet, get partnerships, it's just chaotic in this space, is when you are building a brand and you're bringing people along with you, it's, you want to make sure that your people eat first. Because if the people that you are leading eat
Mhm.
first, they are going to be full of whatever you're feeding them, and then they're going to work for you, and then they're going to want to be around you. And it's like kind of in the Marines. Have you heard of how the high ranking officers, they always eat last, they always
Mhm,
let the lower ranking people eat first.
mhm.
And then it's like that camaraderie and the respect that they have one another. And I think that is kind of what leadership is for me as well. And it's also learning how and when to stay quiet and allowing your team to speak, learning from them, and then bringing people that might be better at doing certain things than you.
Mhm.
And that way you guys can build together for whatever intended goal or whatever your vision is to build. I think it just, you look at it different, but what is leadership at its core? And then can you add branches to that leadership, or what you think?
Yeah. Like it's interesting, when you talk about like the whole like eat last thing. And I love that. I talked to someone recently about like putting together a team. They said just put together a team, and I said, I can't right now because like structure wise and like you think about like financially like putting together a team, it's not the right move like unless you have the opportunity to pay someone because like the whole eating last thing like one first off that's like a forgotten like I said a forgotten art in our,
Mhm.
our industry, but two it's like you can't expect people to work for free. Like they have to like you as the founder, you would have to be willing to, maybe figure out where your next meal is coming. And not that that's serious, right?
Yeah.
Before, the people who would be building your dev team, your marketing team, your social team, whatever it may be, right? And I think, the whole eating last thing, there's very few people in our industry that like have that mentality. I do like hearing other people like and like we've been friends for a long time, and
Yeah.
like we like the birds of a feather flock together kind of a thing, and like
Yeah.
we understand that there's some people in our circle that are just like us as well. But for the most part, like I would say that there's a lot of greed in our industry that unfortunately people have been rewarded that um should they be.
And that that happens in this space. That there's a lot of people that are building in this space, building companies, building brands, whatever, and they do want work for free. And there is a difference wanting work for free and bringing people on, and them working for free and not being rewarded eventually, and people volunteering to do the work for you and being, like, hey, I am going to come in and I am going to volunteer and devote certain time, or do graphics for you, or do cuts for you, do whatever it is, while you're building your brand. And eventually, it's like when you do get profit in, you take care of them. I think one of the things that has happened here in this space is, like, I also think that leadership is influenced with responsibility, but we are influencing without responsibility, and people get wrecked. It's
Yeah.
like, it leadership, you have to have that ability to be able to move people toward a shared vision while you're carrying the weight of the outcome.
Mhm.
But do we see that in this space? Abso-freaking-lutely not.
No way.
It's like, walk the walk, talk the talk, but do people? No. I mean, it's like, is there clarity in some people's leadership without chaos? No. It's like they lead you straight into chaos here. And a lot of the times, this is one of the things that, Tammy and I always talk about. Tabby and I are great at noticing actions, patterns,
Mhm.
etc. here in this space. And what is people's consistency between words and actions? And if you really pay attention to people's actions in this space, a lot of it doesn't match their words. The accountability, where the fudge is the accountability? It goes out the door. It's like people really don't understand accountability here. It's like a lot
Do
of
you
people
think
don't have the integrity.
so let's go back to like the beginning of the conversation, right? Where we talked
Mhm.
about like coin bros, like the crypto people, and then the NFT bros. And you think of the like uh, let's think of like the age demographic of a lot of the investors that came into the space, and maybe they got lucky early, but like 2022 probably was like several years ago, probably where these people got they caught a good windfall, right? And so maybe now they're in their mid 20s, mid late 20s, and they're the founders of these projects. Like they don't know shit. They don't know anything about running a company. Like a lot of these people don't know anything about business. This is like they got lucky. Their buddy got them in. Like some people are smart. I get that. I'm not taking things away. I'll err on the side of being controversial or whatever. But at the end of the day, like some people got lucky, and that's it.
Justin, that is something great that you brought up because there are a lot of smart kids, very smart to be able to execute a product. The thing is that they don't understand business acumen. And just because they're smart and, having the intelligence of executing something that maybe you and I can't, I think this is why, as a smart person and as a business person, this is where you bring in other people that will be seasoned and savvy
Mhm.
in executing those job roles that you're not going to be able to. And this is why we've seen a lot of projects fail in this space because they don't understand that business acumen and they don't have the practical intelligence to put things in motion. It's like they don't understand how some of the decisions that they make early on is going to affect people, affect money, affect risk, long-term outcomes. And they don't bring in the right people. Remember, we saw that at the beginning where people were like just building, 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 and then everybody was coming in and getting job roles that they didn't even know how to execute those job roles, titles. All of a sudden, X, Y, and C friend is a CEO, a COO, and then
You're like,
months
what? What
later, the company
happened?
is failing, and you're like, what the hell is happening?
It's all part of pioneers. We're taking arrows. We're building the plane as we fly it. We're doing the beta testing. We're figuring it out. Hopefully, everybody that's participating gets rewarded. Some people are going to get ultimately wrecked or whatever. But I think that's all part of it. Is that we're beta testing. We're learning.
Mhm.
We are the ones who are determining how crypto will go. Maybe down the road, seed phrases aren't a real thing anymore because that's unrealistic to remember 24 words or 12 words or whatever. Who knows? But the whole idea is we're learning all this stuff right now. That was like NFTs, right? The first NFT push in 2021. We can't take anything away from it. It was great. We
Mhm.
learned a lot.
Yeah.
I'm hopeful again. I'm thinking of the next evolution of what crypto and blockchain is. I loved what NFTs were. It taught us a lot about ownership, about transferability, about immutability, all that kind of stuff. And so now, hopefully, in this next phase that we see, and there'll always be PFPs. Don't get me wrong, everybody. Don't freak out. The whole idea of NFTs being this next layer of society, like that's a positive. Like that's going to be a great thing. And so hopefully that's where that evolution goes. If that
Yeah.
makes sense.
It does. No, it completely does make sense. Now, what do you tell people when they're coming into the space? You see a lot of influencers, KOLs on the timeline, and the market is shit right now because we can definitely say the market is shit. A lot of things are dumping. As a trader, even though we are or people are saying we're in a bear market, you understand how to make money, right? You
Yep.
understand even if that chart
I
is
get you.
dipping, you understand how to make money, but some people don't. Some people panic, the fear index is high, and then you have people that other people look up to and you see them, oh, the bottom is in, DCA, it's like etc. And what's going to happen? They're going to probably end up being their exit liquidity.
Getting
They
wrecked.
don't understand.
That's
Um,
unfortunately, that's kind of the way it goes though. Like there's always going to be you need like people have to be exit liquidity. Like there's buyers and sellers, and it's usually I know it sucks, but it's like a two cycle thing, right? Like
yeah.
you might get rinsed on the first one, and you build up, and you kick it on the second one. It's all just part of the game. It's you have to chalk it up to because there's no college. I know there's probably some colleges that are starting to teach this, but like you can't go to the University of Crypto, and so sometimes that cost of your education is just getting waxed.
Look,
unfortunately.
I am a testament of that because I did get wrecked the last few years. I was people's exit liquidity, was going
Me
in
too.
late. I was trading without even knowing how to trade. And I would go in. Let me tell you, I lost a lot of money the last few years. And one day this year, I woke up and I was like, you know what? I am going to learn it. I am going to learn the charts.
Smart.
I'm going to understand the candles, etc. And that's what I tell people. It's like, once you are able to really understand what's happening in the market, learning the charts, learning where liquidity sits, the longs that are being bought, the shorts, etc., you start understanding it. You start believing influencers and the KOLs less and less on the timeline, especially when they're like, oh, the bottom is in, go long, put in money. And I'm like, how do I know that you're not a whale that's waiting that
Not
chart for
yet.
me to go in so you can, take some profits?
Yeah, I was looking on my chart today, and unfortunately, and I found this in two different setups. One, if you look back, August 2024, we hit like a scam wick down to like about 48,900, and then also with this bear, if you're on the daily, this bear flag that we've created with the drop so far, a measured mood from the peak. This bear flag takes us to the literally exact same spot. So like I don't know if some are telling us, or telegraphing 48.9 or 49.5, somewhere around there. But that kind
Yeah.
of seems where that seems where we're headed. So we were talking the other morning, or like the other day on a show about altcoin season and stuff, and it's like you can't really in good faith suggest people to start buying altcoins. You can DCA some Bitcoin. We're gonna see probably one more, unfortunately, I think one more dip, one more good dip, and then things will start going. So a lot of coins have actually already passed their especially the ones that a lot of people pay attention to. We had that the February 10th dip, right? That nice
Yeah.
big scam like there. A lot of altcoins have already passed that, which, and I thought that was going to be our saving grace here for this time of the year, but nope, 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 nope.
Yep. Do you think we're gonna dip even lower? I mean, or do you project an estimate? Because this is not financial advice. Everybody do your research. But do you
Mhm.
think we are going to go any lower on Bitcoin?
Yeah, I think we're gonna go down to that just under 50,000. There's some people that make a case for 30,000. I don't like that. I like the 48. And so there was some other things that we had looked at. There's not only that August 2024 wick that took us down to that level. There's, like I said, there's the measure move. There's some other things that just the indicators just kind of point in that direction. So just under 50K is kind of what I'm thinking. When that happens, I'm all in. I am all in, because even if we have a leverage flush after that, the you're locked in, loaded, like right around 50K before things go. And I think 160 is a shoe in on the next rip. Probably, I've always thought 330 is a great number. That's where I'm hopeful we'll see, because look, I was just in New York City at the Ondo Summit, and Dan Moorhead, the founder of Pantera Capital, was talking about Bitcoin, right? And it was
Mhm.
an Ondo Summit. He was talking about Bitcoin, where look, what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years is we are going to see like an arms race for Bitcoin. And why is that? Because the U.S. is building a strategic stockpile, right? And
Mhm.
our allies are definitely going to want to do the same thing, so they're buying. And then also our adversaries are going to want to do the same thing to keep up. So China's going to start buying. They've already been, but like everybody's going to be buying a million at a time. Like, well, there's no fucking OTC. Sorry, I didn't mean to swear. There's no
No, you can
OTC deck.
swear. You can do yeah, you can say whatever you want.
Okay, there's no OTC deck on the planet that's going to be able to sustain that kind of buy volume. And so it's like the open market is just going to, like, we're going to see a price discovery, price shock. Like at some point, he was saying in the next 2 to 3 years, maybe even give it a little bit more than that. Like
Mhm.
Bitcoin is going to rip. Like it is going to rip in a couple of years.
Do
Like
you
when,
think
when
that there's a possibility it's being manipulated, market manipulated right now
oh yeah,
by
oh yeah,
institutions,
oh
or
yeah.
politicians, whoever is in there and hold bags just so they can buy that bulk supply? when it's lower, like you're saying, it's like they're building a reserve.
Yep.
Why are they going to buy it at a higher cost if they can manipulate the market to dump so they can come and buy bigger and position themselves a little bit better?
Yep. Yep. Like they're gonna want to have percentages of the supply. If this is like if it goes on, if I mean at some point, Bitcoin, the experiment that is Bitcoin could just like go away. Who knows? But like I'd
You
like to
don't think
think
it's
that
gonna dump till drop to 8,000? I heard some people today say 8,000, and I'm like, I think, maybe 45, between 45, 47, but 8,000, that's like a long
hey,
shot.
that's crazy. Like could you imagine? It would happen so fast. There's no way that it would stay down there. It would
Mhm.
be like one of those like crazy scam wicks that if you had an order set at 8,000 and that thing filled, man, that would be wonderful. But
I wonder if I should go and set a long position for
just even at 10, just even at 10, just in case.
yeah, even at 10, can you imagine we go and do that, and then one day we wake up and it's, like, filled, and you're like, "Wait, what just happened?"
What? That'd be sick. That'd be sick.
It's
I mean,
like when we were tanking, I had set one for 65 and it went up and then it came back down again. I never honestly, I didn't think, and this is when I was just learning the charts and learning, the liquidity and all that stuff. And I was like, shits and giggles, I am going to set it to 65. And at that point, we were still throttling above 69 in the 70s. And I was like, there's no way we're gonna go to 65. When we go to 65, and I had a short going down to it, and then I had a long coming up, I was like, "There's no way, shape, or form. This just happened."
it's interesting. Yeah, I think the 9,000 a little crazy. I mean, again, I've heard some 30. I don't remember where the CME gap is. There's one it's probably around the 8 or 9,000, maybe a little bit less that
Mhm.
never got filled, but they always said that's one that's never going to get filled unless something happens. And that one, I wonder where that one is.
I
That would
don't
take me.
know, but I know, like, when we were trading earlier, I trade with Zach and Dom in their spaces. We were watching also gold and silver, and it seems like they're kind of also driving the crypto market. Would you agree or disagree with that?
The precious metals.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting, right? Like,
Yeah.
so precious metals all hit all-time highs. The stock market's hitting all-time highs. I mean, Bitcoin last year hit an all-time high. It's been a struggle ever since, though. I think it's the rotation, right? I thought it was funny that people were getting into copper. To be honest with you, you kind of like you missed the boat on
Why?
gold. You missed the boat on gold. You missed the boat on silver. I just which way your turn, buddy? Like
You don't think that they're probably gonna go up a little bit more?
copper or like
Mhm.
gold. I think gold, if I'm not mistaken, gold is back like well, it's just under 5,000. It's 49.54 right now, but let's see, this is the month. Let me trim this down to the daily. Yeah, it's on a little bit of a dip, but it's performed over the last couple days,
If you're
over the
looking
last
at
like
a
week
chart,
and a
you
half
can
better.
share it if you want to.
What's that?
I said if you're looking at at a chart, you can share
Oh,
it.
yeah, okay.
And then that way we can see what the
What I'm looking at. All right. So yeah, that's the gold chart right there. I mean, look, like some of these indicators right here. So what do we have on? We've got the EMA ribbons. I don't know if that really matters too much in gold. I know we pay a little bit attention to some of those in crypto. But look, 50 about 5600 is where this thing 55.98.13 was the all-time high. So gold it is, a little bit on a retrace, but look, it dipped all the way down here.
Mhm.
Currently back up 12%. For it to get back up to its all-time high is 13.5%. That's not bad. Silver took a little bit more of a beating for that to get back up to its all-time high. The
Okay, so
16%.
one of the things that I've heard is Bitcoin is like gold, silver, Solana is silver, and then Sui possibly copper
Okay. I like Sweet. It's probably gonna be one of the fastest,
or
one of the
XRP. What about XRP?
XRP, that's they say it's the banker's coin. I don't know.
I think it is though, Jchains. I think
For
XRP
settlements
is
and
the
stuff.
banker. Yeah, I think so. And people call me crazy. And especially, I you never understand how much people hate XRP until you start talking about it. But, when I was doing conspiracy theory spaces and we were doing research about XRP and the filings and how they had asked for filing with the Fed, a VIP account, and then how they want to replace like the Swift system and things like that. I'm like, is XRP going to dominate? I also think too that Bitcoin is like the Trojan horse, right? That it was introduced by whether it's DARPA, CIA, Fed, like a Trojan horse to see if we would become adaptable to digital
It's
currency. And then all of a sudden, it's going to be a different digital token that's going to be like
just
the
the
main.
Wizard of Oz, and then all of a sudden it's a
Yes,
CBDC, and
like
we're all under control. No.
yes. Okay, so one of the things that I was reading when I was doing research is that back in the late 1990s,
Uh-huh.
the Federal Reserve actually they wrote a paper that was very similar to and described CBDCs. The word CBDCs was never in there, but it was a description of them wanting to present something like that. So basically, they described CBDCs in their paper without saying the word CBDCs. At that point, they didn't call it that.
That's interesting. When
Then
was this? Back
this
in
was
the
back like 1998,
Okay.
99. I can send you the research that I did.
Okay.
And then after that, when the tech boom happened and all that stuff, they parked the paper and all that stuff. So it's like, I think CBDCs is not too far off, and then if, I don't know, I may
Well,
be talking.
so you're one. I hate to talk about this, but it's wherever it's we're one tragedy away, right, from accepting a CBDC as our fate, right? And so you think about what happened the last time and stimmies were going out. Well, all you got to say is like, hey, you download this wallet, you get your payment tonight at midnight. Payments go out. When you wake up, that money is there. All you got to do is get this wallet. People will be like, okay.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden, boom, there it is. Now that could be USD1, right? It could be Trump bucks. It could be a CBDC. Who knows? But we're one catastrophe event away from that being the case. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm a truth seeker. But
Yeah.
they control the weather now. They can fake news and all this whatever, yada yada yada. So like, I don't know. It might just be a fake made up something that gets everybody to take the take the bait.
I mean, but look at what's happening right now. It's like, what if what is happening and going on right now, they are positioning us to eventually take over everything. Like I always say, there is going to be one digital currency, but which one is it going to be?
It's not
One
going to be one that
world
we have
digital
access
currency.
to.
It's like, where are we not looking? It's like, where are we not looking? Because they've already been working on this since the 90s. Do you remember Sham where he had introduced DigiCash or something like that? And a bank tried to make it work and then it didn't work. So they didn't adapt it and they parked it. I mean, this is in the late 1990s. And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden, fast forward decades later, and here we are. So it's not something that it hadn't already been programmed. It's been something that has already been in motion decades ago that we are not aware of. Like if you really take the time to do the research about digital cash, digital money, it had already been in motion since the 90s or so.
yeah, yeah. I mean, that's not that this was new. I just hadn't thought about this for a while. Yeah. DigiCash from the 1990s. 1990, the original DigiCash went bankrupt in 1998.
There, you see,
It's crazy.
it's like if you really start piecing a lot of that. And this is where we come in with the conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah.
Part of conspiracy theory is to find that conspiracy theory and what is the truth of it. And the thing is that with the conspiracy theory, it seems like there's a negative connotation, such negativity around it. But who actually made that word sound bad? The people that
That's a good
want
point.
to hide the truth.
Do you think Satoshi's identity will ever be revealed?
I don't think so, because I really don't think that Satoshi is one person. I think Satoshi is multiple people and are entities as well. Eventually, will it come to light? Probably, maybe not in our lifetime, who knows? But I do think that it's a multitude, an entity of people.
I think. Do you think that it'll be maybe it's an NDA that people just quietly don't talk about, or we hear the rumors, and we all hear the rumors in the space, and we have for many years. But do you think that nations, countries that go on to buy 1 million Bitcoin at a time, that go on to set up strategic reserves, they're gonna put up with that, or do you think they're gonna need to do their due diligence to a point where they're like, no, we need to know who the fuck every person, I swear again, who every single one of these people are, and what their role was, and obviously some of them they can't contact because they passed away, but you think like this will come out because of the due diligence process in order for these countries to acquire these vast treasuries or strategic reserves? Because that what was it called? Digital DATs. That's like, so at the Ondo thing, DAT, digital asset treasuries. That's like what everybody's talking about right now.
Yeah. I think that eventually there is a possibility that these institutions or the people that are running it, yes, they're going to want to know who they're dealing with. But are they really? It's like just there's families that are out there, right? Like billionaire families that probably run a lot of countries, a lot of the world that we don't even know.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has idea. And maybe they also deal with other politicians, other institutions, and they are anonymous and they have people that actually interact for them. So I'm pretty sure that's probably going to be the case for what's going to be transpiring or happening here soon.
Mm-hmm. Satoshi.
Who is Satoshi?
Who
I
is
think Satoshi is like, should I even say it? But I think it could be a multitude of institutions like the CIA, DARPA.
Would you
the
feel?
Fed.
Would you feel like okay? So say as it turns out, like it's a 3-letter agency that started Bitcoin and ultimately this whole crypto movement, yada yada yada. Would you feel like you got suckered into something, or would you be like, damn, I was part of the movement. I was part of it.
I think we got suckered into it. I mean, to me, when I started doing research about it and started talking about the conspiracy of and theories of behind Bitcoin's creation, one of the first things that I came up or was doing research is that the theory was that the NSA created Bitcoin as a Trojan horse for a future digital control grid, right? And part of that proof is that the SHA, the 256 algorithm, the SHA, Bitcoin's core hash function, it was created by somebody that worked for NSA back in 2001, early 2000, right? Whatever. And then Satoshi's he never was revealed. His identity was never revealed. He disappeared after launch. So it was classic spook behavior. But the other plot was that there was also a document that was created by NSA, how to I'm freaking losing my how to create a coin or something like that. And it was released in 1998. And then 10 years later, Bitcoin happens. How to create a digital, okay, what was it called? The document.
The NSA white paper, how to make a mint, the
Yes,
cryptography of
there you go.
autonomous
There, yes,
electronic cash.
yes, yes, that one. Yes. So it's like when then you start piecing all these little things together, it's like, okay, what is it really a conspiracy? Like, it's like how much of
Hiding in
this?
it's just hiding in plain sight is what it is.
Right. And then when I started doing more research, okay, so I have no idea how the hell I correlated this. So we were doing a conspiracy space, and it was with Tammy, and it was about the Titanic when it sinking, whatever.
Uh-huh. With the guy from Chase and like who would start the Fed and all
Right.
that stuff.
So then, of course, they wanted to kill off the richest men at that time and the billionaires at that time because JP Morgan Chase was not, right? Therefore, all of a sudden, the richest men on earth die in the Titanic. And then part of it, the theory goes that they wanted to create the Federal Reserve, but they were opposed to it because there were other ways, that they were able to help control the monetary system. JP Morgan Chase and their people, they wanted to create the Federal Reserve. So now here they create the Federal Reserve, etc. Then you move fast forward, and then fast forward, the Federal Reserve writes a paper about CBDCs and how to create it and how to put it out there. And then right around that time, the NSA creates how to make a mint. So I was like, okay, it's all of them working together to keep us always financially enslaved to their system. So now they're going to create this to keep us digitally enslaved to this monetary system that the people thought that they created to be decentralized and not controlled by the financial system or the bank. Yet maybe these institutions created it and put it out there as, okay, you guys are going to be self-sovereign, you guys are going to be your own institution, you guys are going to be this, and boom, here we're throwing it out to you guys as a Trojan horse. We fall for it, and then here we go back to being.
What if they turn up like, you get to this point where everybody's fighting to get all their Bitcoin, right? Because I think
Yeah.
most people, within this last run, we got toasted on altcoin season. We didn't quite get the altcoin season because of the dilution from the amount of altcoins there
Mhm.
were. But so everybody like who had allocated part of their Bitcoin over to altcoins to try to, make it big didn't work out. So now everybody's just toast.
He disappeared. They wanted to shut you down.
Yeah, that's crazy.
They're
They,
like,
s-
we're not gonna let him
they
talk.
said no, thank you. Talking those conspiracy theories.
Yeah, I mean, there has to be some truth to it, but I mean, that was a mouthful. I mean, we deviated from interview to you to like this crazy stuff. But so what do you think of all of it?
I think if we get a few years down the road and they pull the switch on Bitcoin and we're all hooked on our CBDCs, like
Mhm.
could we say I'm not surprised? Probably not. But I'd like to think that this is the future of finance. This is the future of money. I think Bitcoin and some of the majors are going to be what withstand time, right? And I think like the takeaway of all of this is, when you think about building your portfolio, you think about being strategic, and you think about how are you going to change your life, and hopefully for the better, right? Within crypto, is that you balance, maybe some smart plays with a little bit of fun. But at the end of the day, like I hate saying this, but like I'm like shifting everything over to Bitcoin. And so with the idea of potentially just kind of putting into long-term storage, having my own strategic reserve, like that's where Bitcoin is. Like I'll always have my trading portfolio, I'll always have a meme coin portfolio, always have NFT portfolio, all that stuff. But just starting to wind it up into making sure that we're making smarter choices, making wiser investments with the time that we have before things pop. Like your time days are numbered.
No, freaking absolutely. I know that we're past the hour and I do want to thank you, but I do want to do some rapid fire with you. Do you still have a few minutes to do a
Of
quick
course,
rapid
always.
fire
This is
before
that
we wrap up?
Yeah, this has been fun, guys. Make sure you're smashing the like button. Make sure you're hitting the heart, tagging the video, reposting, tag your friends, do all this stuff. This has been fun. Yeah, I'm ready for some lightning round. Let's go.
Okay, rapid fire. Let's go. Builder or trader?
Oh, trade. Oh man. I think I'd rather build.
Okay.
Ah, yeah, build.
Okay, discipline or instinct?
Oh man. Discipline.
A bear market or bull market?
Fair market. It's where millionaires are made.
Long-term vision or short-term execution?
Oh, these are good ones. Long-term vision for sure.
On-chain or in real life connections?
In real life. Hands down.
Risk risk taking or risk management?
Risk take.
Community first or product first?
Community.
Lessons learned or wins celebrated?
Lesson learned.
Privacy or visibility in Web3?
Visibility.
What matters more now, growth or peace?
Growth.
Now, last question for you. If someone watching tonight is in a season of rebuilding,
Uh-huh.
doubt, or quiet perseverance, what would you want them to take from your story?
You're capable of so much more than what you give yourself credit for. Like we're all doing it. We're all the end goal. We're all shooting for the same thing. So just keep pushing for it because like no matter how you try or if you fail, yeah, there's always that meme, right? And I always, when you talk about like what keeps you grounded or what keeps you motivated, a lot of times in my mind I reference the meme of the gem miner, right? Where the guy
Mhm.
is so freaking close and he turns around and he's walking away. Whereas that one guy's still working hard and he's far away from him, but he's working hard, right? Like it's you never know what you're gonna get. So just go.
That is awesome. Is there any last parting words that you want to leave the audience with?
First off, Leslie, thank you for having me. I sure do appreciate it. This has been fun. I like to sign off a lot of things with a motto of mine. It's my mantra. It's the 1% better, right? Like I talk about the discipline thing. I talk about the motivation thing. Is motivation a true factor in life? No. We'll see all that. But like the 1% better thing is so important, right? And it's all about consistency. So whether it's for your job, whether it's for your health, whether it's for your wealth, it doesn't even matter. The whole point of being consistent and trying to make yourself 1% better every day. And like, look, when you get to the weekend and it might be Friday night, you want to go out with the fellas, have a couple beers, eat a couple pizzas, whatever. But on Saturday morning, you get to the gym, right? You get back on track. It's all about staying consistent and make sure that you're focused on your goal. And that's like one example. But the whole idea of just being consistent and trying to make yourself 1% better, and it's not asking a whole lot. And so, like, what's today? Today is Thursday.
Mhm.
Look, by the time we get to Monday, because look, everybody's going to enjoy tomorrow's Pizza Friday. As you know, I celebrate Pizza Friday, except for when I'm in a true training camp, then I'll lay off it. But we're going to have pizza tomorrow. We're going to have fun. And then we're going to get into the weekend. We're going to get motivated. We're going to do some things, maybe go to the gym, set our goals. And on Sundays, it's like a really good thing to do. Maybe you set your goals and you set your system in place to meet all your goals, all that kind of stuff. And so Monday, like when you're back and at it and you're feeling refreshed after the weekend, you're like 5% better. And then you just springboard from that and you just stay consistent. So it's just stay consistent and try to be 1% better every single day. That's my final parting word. Thank you for having me. I do appreciate it.
Thank you, Jchains, Justin, for coming on tonight and reminding us all that growth isn't always loud and strength isn't always visible. And sometimes we have to show up quiet, take accountability, and choose to keep moving forward, even when we don't have the outcome that we want. And really appreciate you. And hopefully, we'll have you back, in a few months, a few
Yeah,
weeks down the line. Again, thank you so much. And much love to all of the audience, everyone, to your wife and to your daughter.
thank you. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you.
Thank
Everybody, make sure
you.
you smash the like button. Give Leslie a follow if you're not following her.
Bye, everyone.